I looked ahead and saw 2 constables waving people away from a doorway. I feared we wouldn't get to see where the second victim was slain that very morning. "Come with me," Israel whispered. He led me down a series of alleyways until we found ourselves in a dead end. "Help me up," he said. I cupped my hands and lifted him against a fence. After a moment, he tapped me on the shoulder. "Right. The victim was found on the other side of this fence, between the steps and the fence itself. Let me help you." Eagerly, I peered over. The blood was still fresh, dark and slick as ink, for the murder was less than a day old. It was a deserted stoop in a backyard connecting several buildings together. Until that morning, it had been an anonymous spot people passed without thought. Now the police had to keep people away from it. "Oi, you lot! Get down from there!" a constable cried, and Israel and I beat a hasty retreat. We ran through a warren of streets in the north of Whitechapel, an area known as Mile End Newtown. If the police had pursued us, they gave up rather easily. Eventually, we collapsed against a brick wall in Underwood Street, huffing and puffing. With sore feet and stitches in our sides, we had the street all to ourselves. "My word," I said when I caught my breath. "What is that stink?" "What do you think? No one has an extra penny for the street sweeper here. Anyone with a proper broom goes into the city and tries to take over a corner there." "Is it all as bad as this?" "No, some of it is just neglected. Sort of shabby genteel, you know. It's mostly our crowd here, the Jews. The Ashkenazi from the Jewish Pale in Warsaw or Moscow or Berlin, chased out by the pogroms of the Tsar and the Kaiser. We are struggling, but give us time. Some of us will rise, and when we do, we'll put a fresh coat of paint on these buildings, amend the fences, and sweep these odoriferous streets. There is no more gentrifying power than a synagogue full of worshippers. Israel, I came here to catch a killer. If you're going to start preaching, I'd rather be sleeping at home in my nice cozy bed. I'm sorry, Thomas, but the Whitechapel Killer is not a jack-in-the-box to pop out of his hole at command." Just then I sensed that we were not alone in the darkness. The street was empty, and I heard no sound that suggested someone was there. It was more a feeling. The hackles on the back of my neck rose. Had Mary Nichols had such a feeling before the blade cut into her throat? Did Annie Chapman realize she was not alone right before her life was snuffed like a candle? Israel suddenly lifted his dark lantern in my face, blinding me with the light. "Thomas, look out!" he cried. A crushing hand seized my neck in a vice-like grip, cutting off all air to my lungs. The last thing I saw was the lantern falling to the ground as my friend fought off the figure in black that was choking the life from him.